Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Yes, I am finally getting around to reviewing Jurassic World Exodus. Sorry for the long wait, I know it came out last week, but I'm finally able to do it now. For those of you who haven't seen Jurassic World Exodus just yet, spoiler alert, because I'm going to be covering a lot of the fan film and its production in full. Now, this short happens to be a project that was put together by a good friend of mine named Greg Wong. For anyone unfamiliar with his work, he's basically one of the lead members of the Jurassic Park motor pool. If you want to make yourself a Jurassic Park Jeep that is screen accurate, then I would highly suggest hitting him up for details. I've known him for a while now, and he's actually the guy that introduced me to Frank, the owner of the screen-used RV that was used in the Lost World Jurassic Park. Greg actually set it up to where I would be able to walk through the vehicle and film whatever I wanted while I was in LA for the JP 25th anniversary event, so that RV live stream and the subsequent video all came about because of Greg. Now, I bring this up because it actually has something to do with the short film that eventually got made. That being said, I'm actually going to do this review a little bit differently to what I normally do and start with the negatives first, because this is the first time that I've actually been aware of the production of something and known something about the story that none of you guys do. And it kind of affected the way I saw the film, so I think it's kind of important that I explain it to you all in full before I proceed with the positives. You see, back in May, Greg pitched me the idea he had for Jurassic World Exodus, and around that same time, I was actually allowed to see a bit of footage that was shot for the fan film. The stuff I was able to see back then actually took place inside of the RV and featured both Greg and Frank in small roles during a scene that was clearly meant to homage Udesky's phone call with Paul Kirby from Jurassic Park 3. If you've seen Jurassic World Exodus, you'll know that none of that is in the final cut. And that isn't the only thing that didn't make it into the film. Initially, I was told of a few scenes that Greg was very interested in shooting for this project that simply were not present in the short that eventually came out. And see, this was the biggest surprise I had while watching Exodus, to be completely honest with you. One of the scenes that Greg was super excited to make featured the Dilophosaurus, which was originally going to be the dinosaur that kills Kurt, if memory serves me correct. This would have been the conclusion of an earlier setup where the extraction team would be briefed on the toxic venom that the spitters possess, and everyone was passed out EpiPen-like devices that contained an antidote. Another important part featured the T-Rex at the end, which did make it into the movie, but from what I recall, it was actually supposed to go a little further with a Jeep chase that reminded me a lot of The Chaos Continues for the Super Nintendo. So yeah, neither of those things were shown, and it really surprised me on my first viewing. The reason I think this equates to a negative is because you can kind of tell that the short has been edited down from what it was originally meant to be. And from my understanding, the project had even more cuts that were made for the sake of time that were wholly different from the scenes that I explained earlier. So this is a streamlined version of the original vision. Secondly, in my opinion, the CGI for the dinosaurs didn't really land that well, save for the excellent shots of the raptors during the night vision attack sequence, which is definitely a highlight of the film. I think when they showed the animals quickly in the dark with that sort of effect, it worked the best and felt the most natural. So yeah, the night vision raptor was my favorite effect, and my least favorite would definitely be the brachiosaurs along the coast, which kind of took me out of the experience if I'm being totally honest. That being said, I think it's time we talked about all of the positives, starting with the very well realized implementation of a military operation in this short story. One thing that you can tell the creators really wanted to sell was the realism and authenticity of a rescue op, and I think they accomplished that really well. This movie is chock full of some pretty well-known US veterans who I know helped add to the genuinely militaristic nature of the project. Everything down to the dialogue they speak, to the equipment they carry, and the locations they were able to film at gives the fan film a very authentic veteran focus. And I think it does everything to serve the story well. During the early jungle scenes, we can see a lot of impressive camera work that carried over from the excellent photography that took place before they went to the island. Also, by far, my favorite part of the story was the assault on the InGen team towards the end. That bloodbath where the soldiers break away from the people sent by the company was really surprising, and it's an incredibly effective piece of the film that I honestly think is really fun. I totally get into that stuff. So after I was done watching this short, I immediately went to Greg, who produced and helped write this project, and asked him about the missing scenes that didn't end up in the final movie, and he told me that unfortunately, what happened was they simply ran out of time. It turns out that this entire fan film was shot on location in Hawaii for a total of only 5 days. Now when he told me that, I was actually extremely surprised because that just flat out seems insane to me, but yeah, it's all true. This incredibly well photographed military focused operation that came complete with 2 real Jurassic Park Jeeps, some heavy duty military equipment, and a ton of well-known talent was shot in only 5 days. That blew my mind. So yeah, you could say that the production was pretty pressed for time during their stay in Hawaii. In the end, that leaves us with a Jurassic fan film that I think is a lot of fun, but came across some unfortunate issues that I wish didn't happen to it. That being said, I'm pretty sure this was a $5,000 production, so with what they were working with, I think they did a pretty great job. Is this fan film perfect? No, of course not. Things happen and problems came up during its creation. But I think they did the best job with what they had, and I will definitely be looking forward to any new projects from the team that may surface in the future. I think personally that if they streamlined the script and went for a more atmospheric, horror-themed focus than what was done here, it may lead to a very promising short sometime down the road, but that's just my 2 cents. So yeah, that was my review of Jurassic World Exodus. I think it's worth watching if you want to check it out, but I will say that its flaws are kind of obvious from an editing perspective while watching it, and that's an unfortunate product of the trimmed down plot. Jurassic Collectibles called this the Predator meets Jurassic Park fan film, and I think that explains it pretty perfectly. Have you guys seen it, and what did you think about it? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Now before I go, I want to thank my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Words can't really express how awesome it is to have you guys tell me how much you enjoy the stuff I do, and I seriously am eternally grateful for every shred of support that you've shown me. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and hope that you all enjoyed today's content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. I'll see you all in the next video, guys. And as always, take it easy.